Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching NDTV Battleground. We're joined live at this time by the Pollster who spiced things up in Bihar, all across from Simanchal to Mithilanchal to Mumbai, Delhi and Bangalore. There's a twist in the tale because Pradeep Gupta has declared that this election is closer than all the pollsters were predicting yesterday. Pradeep ji, आपको ये बार-बार करने की आदत है. बाकी पोलस्टर जाते हैं लेफ्ट, आप जाते हो राइट, बाकी जाते हैं राइट, आप जाते हैं लेफ्ट. You've always been the big punter. Welcome. I want to take our viewers through all the data that Pradeep and the Access My India team has put out. In the next 1 hour, I'll be joined by a crack panel of political experts as we look at the Access My India data and try and make sense of it for our viewers. I'm joined by my colleagues Padmaja Joshi and Veera Raghav, both of whom have been traveling through Bihar. We have Veer Sangvi with us, making a return to television after a very long time. Veer, great to have you. Sanjeev Shrivastava was with us in Purnia in a field where some sowing was going on. So from there to the studio, as was Ajit Jha. Ajit, welcome. Great to have you back. We've got Tehseen Poonawalla, first extremely dismayed with the Congress's performance. Suddenly he's saying, hey, wait on, we may have a chance. Tehseen, welcome. Swinging like a pendulum. Professor Badri Narayan understands the psyche and the sociology of Bihar as he does with the rest of the country from the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Jay Amrik, one of India's leading psephologists. He's part of the NDTV team as we crunch these numbers. What I want to do first is show the vote share figures that Pradeep Gupta has put out. We'll also compare them with the poll of polls and try and help you understand how Pradeep thinks this poll is much closer than the others. We'll just walk across to the magic wall and show you how Pradeep Gupta and the Access My India team is actually anticipating that this election will be much, much tighter than all the polls that came out so far. 43% of the vote share he predicts will go to the NDA, 41% to the Mahagathbandhan, a gap of only 2% with Jansuraj of Prashant Kishor at 4. 43 versus 41, Pradeep Gupta, that's within the margin of error. So are you saying that this election is going to be very, very close on Friday morning?
Yes, Rahul, absolutely. I mean, this looks like that. And that when you say margin error 2%, it can go either side. Having said that, if it goes to NDA fold, that 140 plus will be achievable. And if it goes to the other side, the closer race, meaning likes of 120s for both the parties, both the Gathbandhans, may happen.
Padmaja Joshi has a question for you, Pradeep ji. Padmaja.
Pradeep ji, what is the factor behind it? I mean, you've given us the numbers extremely close. What made this election one of the closest in your to your mind?
See, Padmaja, in Bihar, at this time, caste is always the demography at play. So let's not discuss onto that. Now, female is 50% representation. But this time what had happened, and particularly in this poll and in this election, this age group of 18 to 39, mark my word, 18 to 39 contributes 50% of the vote chunk and the electors in total electors in Bihar. And in my poll, among 18 to 29 age group, Gathbandhan is having a very good lead. But that contributes 25%. But the third group, the age group among the 29 to 39, if you see 43 to 42, 1% plus for NDA, and this is where this number is coming from, and where this is coming from this time, that's another story. Now that 10% increase in voter turnout from 57 to 67, where this is coming from, so we further decode this. So about 6% is out of SIR voter purification process, 48 lakhs, 20 deceased, and about 28 lakhs has been permanently shifted. That turning out to be 6 percentage point when you calculate with the 7.42 crore electors of the Bihar. So that 6 is understandable. But this 4% increase, we further decoded where this is coming from, and we found that last 3 assembly election in Bihar took place during Dasara and Diwali, meaning the election process was concluded much before the Diwali.
Yeah, very fascinating.
This time it is exceeding to the Chhat Puja also, meaning a sizable large number of people who come to celebrate Chhat Puja has been there, and in most of the cases, these political parties have made sure they don't move away. They have taken good care of them, hospitality to large extent, paid a fare to and fro, etc., etc. Now, when we further decode this, who is this migrated? You will find that large number is youth among them. When I say youth, I am of course saying 18 to 39 years of age.
No, so let's spend a moment on the data that Pradeep Gupta is talking about. Coming up on your screen now, the age-wise breakup of who voted for whom. And there you can see 2 completely different elections seem to have taken place. Amongst those who are first-time voters, 18 to 19, which means they didn't get to vote in the last Lok Sabha elections, you've got 46% of the vote for the Gathbandhan versus 37% for the NDA, a 9%, 11% lead, 9% lead for the Gathbandhan. 20 to 29, you've got a 7% lead for the Gathbandhan, 44% of the votes for Tejaswi-led MGB versus 37% for the NDA. As you get amongst the older categories, 70 and above, 35% of the vote for the Gathbandhan, 51% for the NDA, a 16% lead. So the younger you are, the higher the chances that you voted for the Gathbandhan. The older that you are, the higher the chance that you voted for the NDA. Veera Raghav has a question for you, Pradeep Gupta. Veera.
Pradeep ji, given this data, would you say A, that Prashant Kishor has turned out a cropper and not really been able to create the impact even amongst the youth? Because if they are moving A towards MGB. B, if he wasn't there, who would it have actually benefited? Is there an insight?
Yes, definitely. Yes, very good question, Raghav. I'll tell you and try and decode further. See, last time, NDA, last election, NDA, LJP contested separately, secured 6% vote. But VIP, Mukesh Sahni's party, contested along with NDA and secured 2%. This time they shifted there, meaning 4% minus, 4% added to NDA this time. And this 4% point by Prashant Kishor, 3 is coming from NDA. So in a nutshell, it's all null and void of the addition of LGP score had Prashant Kishor not contested.
True. How did you come to this calculation? Explain that again. You're saying out of the 4 people who voted, 3 were typical NDA voters, 1 was a Gathbandhan voter. So 3/4 of the damage he did was to the NDA. That's an important point you made.
Yes.
I want you to explain how you came to that conclusion. How did you come to that
this.
conclusion?
Yeah, I further decode. Now, if you go and see the age group data, gender data, you will find that Prashant Kishor 6% vote coming from the male and 5% coming from among the male and 3 point there. So female voted largely in favor of NDA, and if you see the caste wise breakup, the Prashant Kishor's 4% vote, 75% of those votes, which is 3 points, coming from the upper caste.
Okay, Jai Mrug has a question for you.
No,
Jai.
I'd actually just wanted to take his point ahead and make it a little simple as well, and elaborate it with some more data. When he is saying that it is almost like as if the LJP did not join the BJP, the net impact is something like that. I'll just simplify it for our viewers. Now, when you take the 2020 data and impose the current alliances on it, the NDA is at 43%, the MGB is at 39%. Now, if Prashant Kishor has taken 3 out of 4 NDA voters, means out of 4%, 3 is from NDA, the fight is as good as the LJP contesting separately last time. That is what he is saying. Therefore, the contest is very close. Even if you look at the numbers stoically, 43-39 adds up to 82 for the 2 major fronts. 43-41 adds up to 84 for the 2 major fronts. Means more or less, it's like the old election of 2020 itself.
Okay. Veer Sanghvi has a question for you. Veer, fire away.
Yeah, Pradeep, I just want to pick up on where you left off about Prashant Kishor. You're saying what? 3 out of 4 of his voters were ex-NDA voters, right? which means therefore that's
That's he's saying likely NDA voters in terms of caste.
They would have
Yeah.
voted for
Yeah,
NDA.
what
they would have
voted
no
for
Prashant
Prashant.
Kishor.
Yeah.
So are you saying that they would have voted for NDA, or did he actually hurt the MGB by not actually by existing? Would they have voted for the alliance otherwise?
You'll have to see where the Mahagathbandhan vote is coming from. It is largely on account of MY, which is Muslim and Yadavs. They contribute 32% vote. In our poll, none of the Yadav votes, barring one or two votes, is sheer votes. Nobody is voting for the Yadavs. Nobody is voting for the Jansuraj party. Muslim, hardly any vote he is securing, only that Jokhihat seat where the Muslim candidate is very famous, and Prashant Kishor is likely to get that one seat if at all they win Jokhihat seat, which is the Muslim dominated and Muslim candidate itself. Barring that, no voter is getting split in from Mahagathbandhan to this, because we also asked last time whom you have voted, and based on this we see whatever we see. So 75 from the NDA, 12 from the Gathbandhan, 12 and 13
So let's
from
look at the caste-wise breakup. I'll have on your screen now the caste-wise data from the Access My India poll. It will give you a sense of the sheer consolidation amongst the Yadavs and the Muslims. 90%. Remember, one of the hopes the NDA has was that they were splitting part of the Yadav vote. Pradeep's data suggests that hasn't happened. 9 out of 10 is extremely high polarization amongst the Yadavs in favor of Tejaswi and the Gathbandhan. Amongst the Muslims, 79%, which means the damage caused by Owaisi and others like him much lesser this time than in the last elections. 80% is a very high level of consolidation. 29% of the Dalits voted for the Gathbandhan, whereas almost 50% voted for the NDA. Amongst the EBCs, 1 in 4 voted Gathbandhan, 6 out of 10 voted for the NDA. Amongst the OBCs, the NDA stays strong. 63 of the OBCs for the NDA versus 19. Professor Badri Narayan from TIS has a question for you. Professor Narayan.
Yeah, Pradeep ji, just I have a question about your methodology of sampling. And that is, we call in our discourses this space theory. You know, Bihar, there is a very interior zones is wider than we have very less urban areas, very less towns, mostly interior rural areas. Did your sample try to cover them? Did your sample try to cover them, because they have entirely different voice?
I think I'll tell you, Badriji, very good question you asked. So let me tell you the methodology. Sample size of 42,031, number of surveyors 194, total assembly covered 243, number of villages and cities and town and location where the sample was collected 2,145. You are absolutely right. Urban contributes only 11 to 12% of the Bihar population, and about 88% population resides in the rural area. And we have deployed about 32 Innova cars and traveled 35,094 kilometers.
Okay, I'm just
अच्छा इस बार बिल नहीं भेजा भाई, इतना बता रहे, इतनी गाड़ी, इतना गधा, इतना घोड़ा, इतना आदमी, और ये रहा मेरा बिल.
But I'm going to now address, I want to address the elephant in the room. Everyone's talking about Pradeep Gupta, the Mahila vote. Among the women, have the Yadav and Muslim women also voted for the NDA, or they have solidly stuck to their caste groups?
Solidly stuck to caste group.
Exactly.
Okay. So there has been no split, and that is why this has become so
their
close.
main member, as good as this.
Okay, let's take a look at the women-wise breakup. Let's look at the voting percentages amongst men and women. I think the point that Pradeep Gupta, and he alluded to it when he came on our show yesterday, makes is that it isn't as comprehensive as some of the polls were suggesting yesterday. NDA has 41% of the male vote and 45% of the female vote. So there is a 4% advantage they have amongst women, but it's not as decisive as was being suggested yesterday. Amongst the men, you've got the Gathbandhan actually up 2%, 42 versus 41. So you're 1% lead, MGB over NDA amongst the men. Whereas amongst the women, there's a 5% gap. 5% gap. Sanjeev Srivastav has a question for you, Pradeep Gupta. Sanjeev.
Pradeep, my question to you is, you said the 18-19 age group, there is a lead of 9% in favor of Mahagathbandhan. From 20 to 29, the lead comes down to 7%, but the lead is maintained. From 30 to 39, the NDA takes 1% point lead. And you said from 18 to 39 is 50% of the electorate. Am I right?
Yes.
So if 18 to 39 is 50% of the electorate, can you tell me what is the percentage of electorate between 18 to 29? Because that is where the Mahagathbandhan has a decisive lead. After
18
that
to
it is
29, 25%.
25%. So in
Yep.
75% of the electorate, NDA has a clear lead. 30 to 39, 1%, but then it just spikes on. So how is it then becoming so close? I want to understand
Absolutely,
that.
very good question. That 30 to 39 contributes itself 26%. 26%.
26. So still it is 51%.
Yeah, 51%.
26
See
is
the lead size,
51%.
on the absolute side of it. If you see the absolute side of it, you will find the answer. What is the absolute side? 18 to 29 on the one side, 40 to 70 plus on the another side, and the in between is the 30 to 39, which is by and large both the Gathbandhan is equally getting the vote.
Look, let's have that data on the screen so our viewers can process it again. This, from the data put out by Access My India, is actually the single biggest story to emerge. More than just the fact that women backed NDA more than the Gathbandhan, the fact that you've got such a decisive lead for the Gathbandhan amongst the younger age groups, that is what is most significant amongst those who are 18 to 29. And there it is on your screen right now. 46% of those who are first-time voters, 44% of those who are 20 to 29. Sanjeev Srivastav, to answer your point, between those who are 30 to 39, NDA leads 43 versus 42. But the big lead comes for the MGB amongst the youth. The older communities, those who've seen the era of Lalu Raj, Yadav Raj, RJD Raj, those are the people who are voting decisively in favor of the NDA. The older you are, the more you don't seem to like Lalu and the RJD, the more you want to vote for the NDA. Ajit Jha has a question for you. Ajit.
Pradeep ji, I have two questions. One, normally in an exit poll, smaller parties get underrepresented because, you know, the data for JSP, for example, would be very small. So it would not satisfy the law of large numbers. So the fact that, is it possible that Prashant Kishor is being underestimated, number one? And number two, what is a big shocker for me is the others, because the others are almost getting 12%. Now, is it possible that someone like OAC could be dominating that? Because when I saw the Muslim voter percentage, a large section seems to be going even towards the NDA. You almost predicted 8% of Muslim voters going towards the NDA. So does that mean that the Muslim vote is getting divided?
Sir, Ajit ji, good. Muslim vote is consolidating about 79 to 80% in favor of Mahagathbandhan. As you rightly pointed out, this time, even unlike last time, the OAC took away, though a sizable number, they won about 5 seats, contesting 20 seats. But this time, Muslim population is rock solid consolidated in favor of this thing, though the OAC has splitted some vote, but that is not turning out to be decisive. Even if you take the last time calculation, they scored about 1% something vote. So that others, even if they score same, they would have contributed 1% to the extent of 1% only.
But could you be underrepresenting Prashant Kishor? Because he's a very,
now,
very small party.
Good question. So I would say that margin error, I am more than confident Prashant Kishor cannot exceed 6% per so.
Okay, so just like you said, for the women, are the youth also sticking to their caste groups? When we are looking at across age groups, are the Yadav youth sticking to Tejasvi Yadav, or is there movement there?
No, among Muslim Yadav, you forget everything. It's like this. Other groups, they are moving here and there. Among female also, movement is there here and there. But among MY, nothing is doing.
Okay, so irrespective of all the targeting, irrespective of, making those schemes specific to women, reaching out to them, there has been absolutely no movement. So that is, MY is solid behind.
Tehseen Poonawala has a question.
What we discussed in the...
Tehseen, you have a question for Pradeep ji.
Yeah, Pradeep ji, my question to you...
You've given him hope. he was quite despondent, talking about the Pookie video, this, that, and the other, looking like quite out of it. Now suddenly his mojo is back. Yeah, Tehseen, fire away.
But the final results gave us a Pookie itself. But anyways, on a lighter note, Pradeep ji, if you see this MGB lose this election as your prediction is, would you then attribute it to the Congress unable to bring the SCN forward caste vote in its contribution to the MGB, therefore contesting 60 plus seats, 25% of the seats and 19 odd seats it wins, the conversion being low, hurting the RJD? Is that what you?
I would say the one major reason to my mind would be if Mahagathbandhan loses this election would be decision-making process. I mean, you cannot go to the playing field without having the team in place. You could not declare the candidates, united, candidates for the Gathbandhan even till the last date of the nomination. I mean, one. Two, the declaration of Tejasvi Prasad as a chief minister candidate is also delayed. But in case of, because he's Yadavs, and this is the precisely reason why this rock solid consolidation happening among the Yadavs or the Muslims is largely on account of that. So whenever there is a candidate from some or the other community, they carry the weight or they carry that incremental vote of 3 to 4%. Always the case. I mean, those who want that particular candidate or chehra, they somehow get consolidated. Bolte hai na ki,
no, do you think it would have helped had Tejasvi been projected earlier? Would it have made that case better or worse?
Making always see, Rahul, it's all about the preparation. You see the other side, the NDA or whatever, wherever you go to a battlefield, it's all about the preparation. Had there been a declaration of candidate, if you recall 2015 election, the alliance was, number of seats were declared 6 months in advance, 2015. Yes. Among all these three groups, Congress and JDU and RJD. And candidates were also declared more than 2 months back. So this is the preparation.
Tehseen has a follow-up for you. Pradeep, Tehseen has a follow-up.
Yes. Pradeep ji, from the Congress perspective, I want to ask a question because we had an angry man in the studio who seemed to be angry, but he seems to be some sort of expert on data, and I don't know how. But this angry man believes and it's projected that vote chori is a major issue. Now, honest question to you: is vote chori an issue on the ground and affecting? Should Congress base itself on that? I say this because I want the Congress to win. I'm putting that out. But I feel it's wrong.
Tehseen, vote chori issue, देखिए चीज, what matters the most, which impacts the most. तो जिसका वोट कट गया है, मैंने भी खुद ने इंटरव्यूज किए वहां पर जाके 3 दिन में, अच्छे धुआंधार इंटरव्यू किए, रोज के 30 इंटरव्यूज, और आई कुड फाइंड आउट दैट कि कुछ लोगों का वोट कटा, और जब उनसे बात करो तो इतनी गलत, बड़े नर्वस होके वो बोलते हैं कि वोट कटा, तो जो इम्पैक्ट है इज टू द एक्सटेंट ऑफ दैट. बट इफ यू ट्राई एंड कि वोट एक परसेप्शन बन जाएगा और परसेप्शन के चलते लोग बड़ी संख्या में वोट करने लगेंगे, ऐसे नहीं होता है. जिसको इम्पैक्ट हुआ है, जिसको बोलते हैं ना, जिसको दर्द हुआ है उसी को पता है कि कितना दर्द हुआ है.
Veer Sanghvi has a question for you. Veer.
Pradeep ji, everybody has made the point that this election is a continuation of the mandal politics which emerged during that era. Now, of the two giants of Bihar politics, Nitish and Lalu's been kind of out in this election. His party is not really projecting him. Nitish, on the other hand, is very much the face of his party. My question is, this is probably, almost certainly, Nitish's last election. What happens to his party in a post-Nitish situation? We've seen what's happened to Lalu's party without him. What about the other side?
So, Sanghvi ji, though it's a political question कि जो JDU के कार्यकर्ता हैं और जो JDU के leaders हैं, what is the path we will select after the post Nitish Kumar? This is something a political this thing, but I will tell you from the people's point of view. I mean, that is where I hold the, I mean, that's what is my job is. See, लोग हमेशा कहते हैं यार कास्ट पे करते हैं, जैसे आपने अभी मंडल कमंडल वाली बात करी. आप चीज को समझिए भाई साहब, हु इज जनप्रतिनिधि, हु इज लीडर? ही इज रिप्रेजेंटिंग मी. if somebody is representing me, जब तक वो मेरे कल्चर, मेरे एस्पिरेशन, मेरी नीड्स, मेरे जरूरतों को, नीड्स को ना समझे, तो व्हाट इज रिप्रेजेंटिंग फॉर? सो व्हेन मेरी जात से कोई खड़ा हुआ है, चुनाव लड़ रहे हैं, तो मैं उस पर वोट करूं तो किसको क्या तकलीफ होती है, मुझे आज तक ये समझ में नहीं आया, क्योंकि वो उसकी जरूरतों को, उसके एस्पिरेशन को, उसके कल्चर को, उसकी भाषा को बड़े अच्छे से समझते हैं और इसके लिए वो वोट करते हैं। उसमें बुराई क्या है, मुझे आज तक समझ में नहीं आया।
Jay Murug has a question for you. Jay,
a very small question, and with regard to your experience as a pollster, would you say Jansuraj's vote share peaked early? It was way higher earlier, or it was always at this level, but it was hyped? What is your take on Jansuraj's vote share?
So earlier in our tracker, 1 month before, it was 8%. 8%. Now it is reduced after candidate declare and election come closer. Earlier they were only there. But आज के ज़माने में लोग एक विनिंग कॉज के लिए वोट करना चाहते हैं, अपना वोट को खराब नहीं करना चाहते। तो जो उसके डाई हार्ड फैंस होते हैं, सिर्फ वही 4% रह गए, बाकी सबने अपना अपना अलाइनमेंट ले लिया।
so can he last for 5 years? Can he, from what you've gathered from your field surveys and from this poll, is he here as a force, or do you think he gets weaker or stronger over the next 5 years? What's your sense?
Looking at the Prashant Kishor as a personality, यदि वो और 5 साल तक मेहनत करेंगे तो बहुत बड़ा अंतर पैदा करेंगे, क्योंकि एक स्पेस बन रहा है बिहार में। जैसे अभी वीर संघवी साहब ने बताया कि नीतीश और लालू के बाद कौन, तो एक स्पेस पहले अभी थोड़ा थोड़ा था, लेकिन इसके बाद वो बड़ा बनेगा। और जब आप, मैं सबको बोलता हूँ, जब आप स्टैंडर्ड 1 में पढ़ाई चालू करते हैं तो ग्रेजुएट करने के लिए पूरे 12 + 3 15 साल आपको रखते हैं। तो दिस इज द प्रोसेस। इतना आसान नहीं होता, इतना हर कंसिस्टेंसी के ऊपर पे इतनी बड़ी टीम को खड़ी करना और लगातार बनाए रखना। बट हैविंग सेड दैट, लुकिंग एट द प्रशांत किशोर, मुझे लगता है कि वो 5 साल और इसमें मेहनत।
प्रोफेसर बद्रीनाथ,
10 साल तक उन्होंने प्रॉमिस किया कि वो रहेंगे। वन क्वेश्चन आई वांट टू आस्क वेरी क्विकली, वी सीन दैट द यंगर पीपल आर voting for the Mahagathbandhan. Are we to then assume that this whole shadow of Jungle Raj that was hanging over Tejasvi Yadav, he's managed to shake it off for good? Now that's a thing of the past. So बार-बार जो कहा जाता है कि भाई तेजस्वी यानी कि जंगल राज, RDD यानी कि जंगल राज, has he shaken that off? प्रदीप गुप्ता।
कंप्लीटली तो कोई भी चीज वाइप्ड आउट नहीं होती है, बट हैविंग सेड दैट, अगेन those who born after 1995, now they are 30 years of age, right? मैं मिड पॉइंट ले लेता हूँ लालू प्रसाद यादव का जो 15 साल का रूल है, तो those who born after 95, now they are 30 years of age. अब 30 ईयर ऑफ एज के साथ साथ क्या होता है, मैंने बताया, कई बार बताया कि एक होता है कि आप खुद फील करते हैं, है ना, जब आप क्रिकेट खेलने जाएं, बैटिंग करें तो आपको एक वो फील आता है, और एक होता है कि बाहर से देखना। सो व्हाटएवर जंगल राज और व्हाटएवर हैज बीन कम्युनिकेटेड, दे हैव हर्ड, they have read, और until and unless they witness it, they are not going to register for a longer period of time, and particularly among the youth. आज की डेट में वो जो माइंड स्पेस में इतना बड़ा डिस्ट्रैक्शन है कि एक चीज घर करके नहीं रखती है, बट व्हाट इज घर करके रख रही है कि व्हाट मैटर्स फॉर देम एज ऑन टुडे एज फार एज द लाइवलीहुड्स गोस, एंड दैट रिमेन्स फॉरएवर.
Okay, so that is a far bigger factor. बद्री
एक प्रदीप जी, मैं एक बात कहना चाह रहा था, ये वोट चोरी वाला जो प्रश्न किया कैशिन ने, उसको थोड़ा आगे बढ़ाते हुए, कि हम लोग कहते हैं कि वोट चोरी यानी ये जो थियरी है, ये जहाँ भी हुआ है, यानी जो डेमोक्रेटिक डेफिसिट की थियरी है एक तरह से, कि भाई डेमोक्रेसी कमज़ोर हो रही है, वोट चोरी हो रहा है, ये हो रहा है, वो हो रहा है, वहाँ पर वोट परसेंट डिक्लाइन करता है। पूरी दुनिया में जितनी भी जगह ऐसा हुआ है, आप देखिए वहाँ वोट परसेंट डिक्लाइन किया है, यहाँ पर वोट परसेंट में राइज हुआ है। तो क्या ऐसा है कि यहाँ की जनता ने इस वोट चोरी की थियरी, जो मेरा मानना है कि एक एकेडमिक्स से निकली थी, जिसको राहुल जी ने कहाँ से लिया, जो ओरिजिन है उसका, वो काम नहीं किया ग्रास रूट पर, अदरवाइज इतना वोट परसेंट में बढ़ोतरी नहीं होती। इसका मतलब जनता का विश्वास है वोट पर, विश्वास है बूथ पर, और वो नहीं मान रही है कि वोट चोरी हुई है।
नहीं पत्री साहब, मैं वापस कह रहा हूँ, आप कितना भी कुछ भी कह लिए, देयर इज अंग्रेजी में कहावत है, देयर इज अ बिग डिफरेंस इन सेइंग एंड डूइंग। जब बोलते हैं तो बोलते हैं, लेकिन जब तक वो जमीन के ऊपर नजर ना आए तो उस बोलने के क्या मायने। कोई मायने नहीं होते उस बोलने के। जब तक वो नजर आना चाहिए ना, एविडेंस होना चाहिए। विदाउट एविडेंस व्हाटएवर यू से व्हाटएवर, मैंने बद्री जी आपको 5 लाख रुपए दे दीजिए, आप मुझे वापस कीजिए, इसके क्या मायने? बोल दिया मैंने, आप मुझे 5 लाख दीजिए, मैंने आपको उधार दिए थे।
लौटाओ भाई बद्री साहब, लौटाओ पैसे,
लौटा दो बद्री साहब,
दो उनको,
दो उनका 5 लाख रुपए, 10,000।
अरे वो टीस के प्रोफेसर है, आप उनसे मांग रहे हैं, किसी नेता से मांगिए, ऐसे नहीं होगा।
मार्केटिंग तभी काम करती है जब सब्सटेंस होता है। प्रोडक्ट में सब्सटेंस ही ना हो तो कितने, हमारे एडवर्टाइजिंग वर्ड में कहते हैं एडवर्टाइजिंग उसी की ज्यादा दिखती है जो सबसे कम बिकता है।
इसका मतलब वोट चोरी से बिहार की जनता ने अपने को एसोसिएट नहीं किया एग्जिस्टेंशियल लेवल।
क्या इसका ये भी मतलब है कि अगर वोट चोरी का मुद्दा नहीं होता एंड ओनली ऑन तेजस्वी pitch this entire election would have been fought, actually the Mahagathbandhan numbers would have been better, Pradeep Gupta?
It would have been the same as we are witnessing now in our poll.
It wouldn't have been higher. You don't think that vote chori may not have been a factor, but it didn't dent.
नहीं, आप कुछ भी बोलिए, जब तक उसके एविडेंस, जब तक उसके प्रमाण और जब तक उसका फील नहीं होगा, फिर वापस मैं आपको अंग्रेजी की एक कहावत दिखाता हूँ, people will forget what you say, people will forget what you do, but people will never forget how you make them feel.
अरे वाह, नहीं
तो ये सारा कंज्यूमर बिहेवियर है, पॉलिटिकल बिहेवियर का
Twitter का ad हो गया है।
So now getting into the literary realm as well.
Yeah, I have one very quick question.
Pradeep ji,
Gupta, you know, leave the serious stuff aside. What are you going to do for the next 36 hours? Are you going to be very nervous?
He's learning his dance steps.
See, Raghav, looking at Axis India track record, it's 74 by 80. 74 times we called poll correctly and accurately, and we take it like a sportsmanship. कि आपको रोज मैच खेलना है, कभी तो आप हारेंगे, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि आप हमेशा जीत जाएंगे। एंड लुकिंग एट 0.2% का सैंपल साइज के ऊपर आप 5 करोड़ मतदाताओं का 4 करोड़ 98 लाख मतदाताओं की कोशिश पूरी करते हैं। व्हाट इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट इन एनी पोल टू लुक फॉर द 3 मेजर ऑब्जेक्टिव, हु इज लाइकली टू विन, what would be the number of seats and vote share, and third one, whoever is won or lose, why they won have lose. That why answer is there. If my poll turn out to be correct, this why answer is very much there.
Pradeep Gupta has 5 P's.
What is that why?
Poll, pollster, cephalogist, also at times poet and philosopher. So he's also waxing eloquent at the
We
moment.
could also make a Hallmark card someday. It's like the way you make me feel.
Let's take a look at
एक और बात बताता हूँ प्रशांत।
बोलो आप बोलो पहले।
प्रशांत किशोर का एक सेंटेंस में कह देता हूँ प्रशांत किशोर के बारे में या उसकी पार्टी के बारे में। कोशिश जो की है प्रशांत किशोर ने वो काबिले तारीफ है, लेकिन मंजिल अभी दूर।
क्या बात। Okay, let's take a look at the seat share numbers and then ask, frankly, the most important question. Okay, so you made the poll more exciting than it seemed initially, but can there be an even further twist given the sheer upsurge in voting percentages? So 2 data sets, one after another, and then we'll go back to Pradeep Gupta. One, of course, is if you look at the seat share numbers, Pradeep Gupta projects that on the upper side of the range, the Gathbandhan could end up at 118. The NDA on the lower side of the range could be at 121. So what is the probability of this happening, Pradeep Gupta? Jansuraj, he says, only between 0 and 2. So that's very much the floor, not the ceiling. Farsh, not arsh. So 121, 118. What is the probability you're attaching to these ranges coming true? Is it equally divided, or are you leaning more towards one side or the other? Pradeep Gupta.
Very good, Rahul. Good question. So, see, here the Jansuraj party itself is an X factor in my poll also. If Jansuraj score 4% plus vote, meaning about 6%, let's see the extreme end, then the Mahagathbandhan, that upper range is likely there and lower range of NDA will be there.
Very important point. Very important point. I'll just stress it for a moment. Pradeep Gupta is saying, and smaller parties can at times get underrepresented in polls. He's saying if the Jansuraj does better on the upper range of his spectrum, then the Gathbandhan starts to go up and the NDA starts to come to the lower part of the range. Jemrig, you want to build on this?
One more point, Rahul, I'll just conclude this. This is one side of the story. The second side of the story, in all the probability, they score less than 4% also. If they go to 2%, then NDA figure will be around 160.
So NDA ki kismat PK तय करेगा. That's the point. If he crashes NDA goes up. If he does well, NDA comes down. Jayamrik wants to build on that. That's a very important insight we just heard. Yes.
Yeah, we did simulations earlier. What happens if he gathers 8%, 6%, 4%? Now, one very important point here is there are about 64 seats decided by less than 4% margin. And if he says 4% is exactly what Jansuraj should poll, of those 64, 33 were won by RJD. So you can actually add 30 even to the top one of this 141, it takes you to 171. So I would say if he really goes to the first, NDA can go to 170, 171.
He said that if it is 2% Jansuraj, then NDA can go to 160. Is that right, Mr. Gupta?
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and this is actually very important also, because in the entire narrative around the elections, Prashant Kishor was also always viewed with suspicion, or he was projected by the Mahagathbandhan as the B team of the BJP, कि उनको any anti-incumbency vote को soak up करने के लिए रखा गया, but that's not always the case.
No, so that's a point.
Let Pradeep Gupta go. He's going to our own Hindi channel, so I must free him up.
Eight minutes.
So these pundits
30 seconds.
Just wrap up. Okay, Ajit Jha, very quickly, last question. Yes.
So a fundamental question, your entire modeling is based on a 2% difference, which is within the error of margin. What is the probability, if at all, if the thing could be reversed, a 1% advantage for the Mahagathbandhan?
Sir, jaldi bataiye, NDTV India wale नाराज हो जाएंगे.
Like pin him down.
ये जो ये वोटर टर्नआउट जो 4 पॉइंट इंक्रीमेंटल हुआ ना, 6+4 जो 4 पॉइंट है, यदि उसमें बहुत बड़ी संख्या में यूथ है तो वो फिर इस साइड होगा, और यदि बहुत बड़ी संख्या में महिला और वो सारा कुछ है तो वो अदर साइड होगा.
Okay, you know, there are also lots of seats where the margin of error is very, let's just go across to the leaderboard and show that, because if you look at the victory margins on the leaderboard, you will find that there are about 35 seats where the gap between the winner and the loser in the last election was less than 3,000 votes. 35 such seats staggered across the breadth of Bihar, which essentially means that these are tight fight seats from the last polls. Are you concerned, Pradeep Gupta, that given that the poll percentages are just 2% and that's within the range of error, that there could be, apart from just the PK vote, other X factors which make the story different from the way it seems at this moment?
You are right. Even this time is going to be more seat which is contested very closely, and this is quite evident in our poll as well, because last time also both the Gathbandhan scored 37 each, and this time 43 to 41. I mean, this is where our life become difficult, as Raghav asked, सोना है कि नहीं सोना है. तो दिस इज ऑलवेज देयर. हर पोल के अंदर 50-60 सीटें होंगी जो 3000 के आसपास के, 50-60 सीट का मतलब होता है 20% के आसपास सीट होती हैं जो 3000 वोट के मार्जिन के ऊपर होती हैं. बट वो ऐसा होता है कुछ इधर से इधर गई, कुछ इधर से उधर गई तो ठीक है, और बस सब एक ही तरफ चली गई तो फिर मुश्किल हो जाता है.
Okay, let's spend a moment on the voting percentages. If you look at the voting percentages, that again is illustrative, and I want to get Pradeep to talk about that. This is the highest voting turnout that Bihar has seen. I've got 4 data sheets. I'll take you through one by one. Going back to 1950, this is the highest voting that Bihar has seen. It was 39.5% in 1951 in the first poll after elections. The highest Bihar had seen before this was 62.5 at the peak of the Mandal era in 1990. After that, this is now 66.9. 57.3 was the voting percentage in the last election. So that's almost 8% up from there. Why is the voting percentage going up so dramatically, and what does that suggest? I've got one more data sheet I want to show you, which really looks at how hour after hour between the first phase and the second phase, in the second phase in particular, voter interest was very high. On the 122 seats that went to the polls on the 11th, just take a look at how sharp the voter interest was. 68.8 overall versus 55.9 in 2020, and this 68.8 happened just yesterday, which essentially means that the voting turnout has been higher than it's been in any election in Bihar going back till 1950. Pradeep Gupta, why do you think people are voting in Bihar as a percentage in such high numbers?
Rahul, I have answered this question in the beginning itself कि 6 पॉइंट जो है आप उसको 10 दिखाइए, आप उसको क्या कर रहे हैं कि 57 करके उसको 67 कीजिए, वो 66.9 थोड़ा कंफ्यूजिंग लगता है, 67 इज अ बेटर नंबर।
सर आप ही आ जाओ, चार्ट बना लो, सुबह से हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं ग्राफिक्स बनाने में, आप बता रहे हो कैसे करना है, ठीक तो लग रहा है? अच्छा 68.8, वी आर बीइंग फैक्चुअल, आप उसको ऐसे ही राउंड ऑफ कर रहे हो।
आपने जो बात करी फेज 1 और फेज 2 में, लास्ट टाइम भी 50 जो फेज 1 की अभी की सीटें हैं उनके अंदर 55 था, और जो फेज 2 की अभी की जो सीटें हैं उनके अंदर 58.5 था। तो 4% जो पॉइंट वहां का इंक्रीमेंटल होता है वो प्योरली बेस्ड ऑन जो फर्स्ट 121 फेज की सीट्स हैं उसमें MY कॉम्बिनेशन, उसमें खासकर मुसलमान जो है वो 28 है, और जो सेकंड फेज की जो सीटें हैं 122 बिकॉज ऑफ सीमांचल ये 34 है। 34:28 आपने देखा 6 पॉइंट का फर्क उधर है, तो मुसलमान हमेशा लार्ज नंबर्स में वोट करते हैं, which is the case.
Let's also look at women voters. According to the Election Commission data, women voters coming up on your screen now, the interest has been higher than in any poll of the available electors. 71.6% of the women voted in this election versus 62.8% of the men. In the last election, there was about a 5% gap. In elections going back to before 2005, men used to vote more than women. That changed in 2010, but the gap has never been as significant. A 9% gap amongst women leading over men when it comes to vote. You said Prashant Kishor was one X factor. Could this one X factor also change the direction on Friday, Pradeep? Just the sheer percentage of women voting?
आप उसको दिखाया, जो आपने दिखाया है, उसको रीड कैसे करना है वो मैं बताता हूँ। नंबर्स तो सही है। 100 फीमेल में से 71 फीमेल ने वोट किया, 100 मेल में से 62 में किया, बट जो नेट आप देखते हैं वो केवल 4 लाख फीमेल ने ज्यादा वोट किया है मेल से, जो कि बहुत बड़ा नहीं है। तो नेट आप देखेंगे जो 100 वोट मशीन के अंदर मौजूद है आज।
But I don't agree with this interpretation. I'll tell you why. Because this is the first time more women have voted than men. This has always been true. There were always lesser women voting, but this is the first time as an actual number more women have voted. The significance of that cannot be understated, Pradeep.
नहीं, but राहुल, but that is fine. That's the case. But मशीन के अंदर जो मौजूद है वो फीमेल 50.5 है और मेल जो है 49.5। तो उसमें कोई इतना बड़ा फर्क नहीं है जिसके हिसाब से कोई बहुत बड़ा फर्क पड़ेगा। बट वुमेन इज वोटिंग मोर इन फेवर ऑफ एनडीए, उसमें तो कोई शक या सवाल ही नहीं है।
Pradeep ji, I want to ask a more fundamental question. How do you know that these people, maybe are simply lying? For example, let me just give you an example. आपने कहा कि जैसे कि if there are Muslim women and Yadav women और women in general, हो सकता है कि वो वोट किसी को दे रही हूँ बट आपको कुछ और बता रही हूँ। How do we know that not to be the case?
पद्मनाभ जी, ये बिल्कुल होता है, लेकिन इसके लिए भी हमने, जैसे हर एक लाइफ में चीज में होता है ना कि आपको ये सारी चीजों को फैक्टरिंग करनी होती है, कंसीडर करना होता है। तो बिहार के अंदर ये जो फैक्टर है कि बोला कुछ किया कुछ, 5 से 10% से ज्यादा नहीं होता है। तो
नहीं, पर ये और भी ज्यादा हो सकता है, and I'll tell you why. I'll quote an example. There was a clip that went viral, especially. There was a man who was a Yadav. उससे किसी ने जाकर के पूछा कि भाई आपको क्या लग रहा है क्या होगा। उसने कहा कि भाई मेरी बीवी जो है अभी बहुत परेशान करके रखा हुआ है, वो कह रही है नीतीश को वोट दूंगी, नीतीश को वोट दूंगी। मैंने उसको 10 लाठी मार करके कहा कि मैं तुम्हें अस्पताल पहुंचा दूंगा, तुम नीतीश को वोट नहीं दे सकती हो। अब नाउ इफ आई एम दैट वुमन एंड प्रदीप गुप्ता कम्स टू मी, आई डोंट वांट टू से हाँ मैं नीतीश को वोट दिया है, मैं कहूंगी नहीं मैंने महागठबंधन को वोट दिया।
No, but the fact is, typically in past experience, voters tend to lie when there is a very high level of fear. In Bihar, as you've traveled as much, people are so outspoken. They love their politics.
Not when I'm doing something that I am not expected to do.
As a percentage.
A Yadav woman is not expected to vote for Nitish Kumar.
As a percentage of how many are lying because they are fearful or any other reason, in Bihar would typically be lesser than in a state where for some reason you feel that there may be a clampdown by the
Rahul, I would disagree. I'll tell you why. Because there is also a possibility. Look, now again, and I don't need to be a woman or a Yadav woman or a Muslim woman. People in general, even an EBC for example. Now I am an EBC voter, I'm a man. I am looking at the possibility of 50-50 the return of Yadavs. I am not going to tell a pollster because मैंने तो टीवी पे जाके बोल दिया या मैंने प्रदीप गुप्ता को बता दिया. But tomorrow, Tejaswi Yadav and the Congress come back to power.
Outliers. How many as a percentage? What is the percentage of people who are in that psyche where they feel they have a need to lie?
That's the $1 million or the 122 vote seat question.
Veera wants to make a point. Veera.
I just want to go back into that women percentage voter thing. I mean, let's not talk percentages here. I'm going by Election Commission data. 2 crore 8 lakh women voted in 2020. 2 crore 67 lakh women voted this time, which means 59 lakh of the 90 lakh excess votes that you had this time, which defines your 12%. Leave the percentages because the percentages can be fudged because of the SIR bringing the bigger list down, the normal increase.
How can the percentages be fudged, Veera?
No, I'm saying
data.
Percentages can be misleading because the overall voter list. You have 59 lakhs. So, 1 in every 3 extra voter this time has been a woman.
And Pradeep wants to respond to it. Okay. Yes.
If the difference between women and men are 4 lakh rupees, which is 4 lakh women, which is undisputed, that divided by 243 constituencies is 1600 per constituency. I'm making it linear, which is such close constituencies, the women will then make a difference. Because that 4 lakh is substantial. You may just say it's only 4 lakh more, but 4 lakh divided by 243, and in constituencies where the margin you just said is very close in many constituencies.
But fair point.
Chalo,
I also said earlier
that
women were not.
परसों तक तो पूरी बाल की घाल निकाल ही सकते हैं.
The studio also seems more charged up, Padmaja, than it was yesterday. Far more excited.
Yeah, more.
And this may look like very, very technical, but the fact of the matter is that at least these numbers now seem to suggest that it is a much closer fight. What are the factors at play? I think 2-3 things have emerged quite clearly. Factor number 1 is that most of the voter blocks have stuck to their loyalty.
Yeah.
If you've got, the MY factor, they have been very loyal, plus there has been an additional consolidation in the case of Muslims. Second factor is that anyone who could have been a spoiler hasn't really turned out to be that. Jansuraj hasn't made the kind of impact that one was expecting, and in addition to that, the Owaisi effect seems to have been blunted even further. The third front hasn't fired much at all.
So should we then understand the Jansuraj, and I'm asking you, Jay, as well, that there is a critical mass for the Jansuraj. As long as it's under that critical mass, it hurts the NDA. Yeah. If it goes over that critical mass, then it starts hurting the MGB.
Yeah, that's what I said yesterday. Until a certain threshold, it's like a safety valve.
How do you explain that?
It's like a safety valve. It will...
Veera, it's the reverse. If
No.
it goes above 4%,
That's what I'm telling
then
you.
it hurts the Mahagathbandhan.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
We have, before we wrap this broadcast
If it
up,
goes down, it hurts the
Sanjeev,
Gathbandhan.
that's what I was telling him. Until a certain threshold, it serves as a safety valve. Beyond the threshold, it actually damages the NDA.
No, he's right.
we have
I'm
data
just
from,
paraphrasing
we've
what
looked at lots of pollsters. There's one more set of polling data that's coming in. This is from VK Bajaj and today's Chanakya. इनका भी देख लेते हैं ये क्या बोल रहे हैं. Let's see. We've got lots.
तो कल भी दिया था.
वो अलग-अलग है. So the best thing is no, but there's some logic. If you get it wrong, it becomes there's so much heat on the network in the channel. This is diffusion of risk and uncertainty because ultimately whoever wins, we're going to get galis one way or the other. So what's the point?
Hedge your bets.
Yeah, hedge your bets and let the pollsters take the stress. Okay, here is VK Bajaj in today's Chanakya. He's projecting 44% for the NDA, 38% for the Gathbandhan. His margin of error is 3% up and down. So 44 versus 38 is a 6% lead in favor of the NDA. So his poll at today's Chanakya very clearly settled in favor of the NDA. If I convert these votes into seats, let's see what VK Bajaj and the team at today's Chanakya is suggesting. They're clearly projecting a very comfortable lead for the NDA versus the Gathbandhan. They're showing a 6% gap. They're also showing the others at 18. So this is what's coming from today's Chanakya and VK Bajaj, a very comfortable lead in favor of the National Democratic Alliance, 44% versus 38, translating to 160 seats for the NDA versus 77 for the Gathbandhan. 77 for the Gathbandhan, 160 can be plus minus 12, so 148 to 172. They're calling the election, as a lot of other pollsters are, very clearly in favor of the National Democratic Alliance. That's the last poll. This is from today's Chanakya. He's going big, Veer Sanghvi, in favor of the NDA. This is good strategy, I think.
But he always does.
He always does.
He always does.
Sorry, here
For
now.
us. Just
turn the
look at
story
all the
around.
polls, analyze them. You would have said, by the end of it, you would have said so many things over the past 48 hours that some of it is likely to have been true on the 14th.
But I mean, here's my big question to pollsters. I accept that pollstering is not an exact science, that people lie, there are different representations. But how can you guys disagree so much?
Batao ji, Jai Murli.
If it's science, why are you disagreeing to this extent?
No, but they are actually not disagreeing because everyone gave advantage to the NDA, tight fight.
No, I'll make, no, but his
weight.
question is
Versus the
spanning a larger question, domain
let
of
him
science.
yeah.
I'll answer that.
Yeah.
See, what happens is, it's actually not as approximate as a science we believe it to be.
Okay.
If you design a sample, if you have stratified it accurately, you can actually mimic the behavior of the entire universe. That's the statistical principle it follows.
All right.
The second principle, which he has been alluding to, Mr. Ajit Jha, for a long time, is the law of large numbers, which means beyond a certain sample size, the behavior of the sample is exactly the behavior of the universe, which is the law of large numbers.
Okay.
Now, the trick is where? The trick is, are you able to stratify your sample enough so that within each subset, the law of large numbers is being followed? And that is the challenge which we try to resolve in the first past the post system, along with a diverse lay of the land like ours. That's where the challenge comes.
In simple language, at every unit of polling, you should have at least 50 voters in a random sampling.
So
at polling booth,
अब वो
what
stratification
Pradeep Gupta
कितना
said,
होता है?
We will
That is the
forget what they've said. We will forget what they did, but we will not forget how they made us feel today. So the pollsters. We'll try and remember that.
Also, the issue of interpretation of the numbers comes when the team sits
If you do
together
the-
and they analyze the numbers. Then the problem comes. That's why in a lighter note, राहुल जी मैं कहना चाहूँगा कि ये सारे pollster का जो positioning है, political positioning, that should be also analyzed because that also reflect in the interpretation of the data.
But I disagree with that to some extent, Professor. For the reason that ultimately the pollster will be judged by whether he gets it right or wrong. What his political positioning is, who he polls for is inconsequential. He's put his reputation out there, all of them. Whoever has come.
Interpretation में आपके biases आने शुरू हो जाते हैं.
नहीं, but आपका फिर गलत हो जाएगा ना. अगर आपका bias है तो आपका गलत हो जाएगा.
And at the risk of sounding repetitive, increasingly also,
That's why most of them fails, no? या near about करके छोड़ देते हैं.
and it's not just about their bias, at the risk of sounding repetitive, it's also a factor of people now not being very upfront with what they have polled. And it's for various reasons. It's not just about the fear, psychosis in the state. But let me give you a small example. Just to finish.
I want to close the debate. Wait.
Okay, fine. Oh, okay.
I think more than people lying.
I thought her show was the buck stops. Jai Murli is saying no, the buck stops. Bola ji.
I think what has happened, especially in our countries, more than people lying. See, in any research sample for even a market research project, you create questions which will help you weed out those who are lying. We do that. You can create those questions. Oh, this guy's a liar, remove the sample. I think the problem in our country is a little different. Everybody has tried to replace the scientific sampling with just a mass sample. And I think that is where the science loses its charm, you know.
See, here's what I'm saying.
मैं थोड़ा सा I would like to supplement what he's saying.
The buck is not stopping.
Buck is not
Really
stopping
not.
only.
Not with you neither.
हम लोग जब फील्ड वर्क करते हैं तो प्राय देखा है कि जब भी आप पूछने जाइए किसको वोट देंगे, वो क्लेवरली आपसे झूठ बोलेगा. वो ऐसा नहीं है कि उसमें वो उसको कोई वो मजा आता है उसको आपको डॉट देने में. तो झूठ का सोशियोलॉजी ये है.
You are absolutely correct.
And दूसरी
People, I think, are also increasingly in this whole thing. It's become about social media.
अगर
A
आप
part of it is about
pollster,
fear.
if you are media person,
A part of it is about being socially shamed. You'll have seen a lot of clips. Somebody saying, "अरे हम तो तेजस्वी भैया जिंदाबाद," and that becomes a meme. BJP will pick it up. They'll be like, "इसको देखो, ये जंगल राज का supporter है." That person will go quiet the next time.
Should you all have all the fun? We also have some fun.
And some of them are out to take trips.
We went
It's
to a
happened.
village near
And you will
Allahabad.
see it when you're speaking to people.
उसमें एक assumption होता है कि लाइव फैक्टर दोनों तरफ हो सकता है, तो न्यूट्रलाइज कर देता है.
If you have a bunch of people who
lying
love
to everyone.
If you have a bunch of people who love their politics, as this panel clearly does, this conversation
And their
can
exit
go
polls.
on forever. This conversation can go on forever, but we are out of time. We've had a fascinating few hours of political broadcast. I hope you enjoyed it as well. My suggestion is sit back, have your makhanas, have your litti choka, whatever else it is that gets you going. Veera says idli sambar. We'll wait for Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu's coming up next, March, April. So the NDTV election team ready and raring to go. We'll see you tomorrow and then on the big counting day starting 6 a.m. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to all our guests for joining us and making this so interesting and fascinating. We'll be back tomorrow and then the day after. Goodbye, good night. Shivarur comes up next with India First. Stay with us. Bye-bye.